Okay, so for this, you want to make sure that you have this file, exercise 13 Clover, on your desktop. It can't be in the handout folder or it won't work. What we're going to do is link it to a new open Illustrator document. And to do it, first we're going to go to Illustrator. We're going to open a new empty file. And since this is exercise 13, you can name it last name, first name, EX13. You want to make sure that the width and height are 8 inches, not pixels.
10 by 8 inches?
Yeah, 10 by 8 is fine. It's too big, but it doesn't really matter. Just make sure that you're not on pixels. And this one is landscape. It doesn't really matter which one. Remember, with anything you make in Illustrator, it's vector, so you can always make it any different size that you want. It's not gonna lose resolution if you make it bigger. All right, now we're gonna do place of that Clover image. So we're gonna go to File. We're gonna choose Place. And then we're going to find the Clover. So hopefully that's on your desktop sitting there. It might be in the Illustrator pen exercise folder, pen tool exercise. And you want to click it. You want to do two things here. You want to click this check mark to link it and this check mark to make it a template. Now notice you have the image, but it's grayed out. Illustrator will make something a template for you automatically, and that's a good thing to do if you're going to trace something, because one, it dims out the image so that you can kind of see what your line is doing a little better, and two, it locks it for you and it makes a new empty layer for you to draw on. Now at any time I could unlock this, or I could double click it. I could undim it if I wanted to by clicking that check mark. But as long as it's on a template layer, it will not print. It's kind of, the computer sees it more as it was a source material, like a rough draft. It isn't considered final artwork. So template, very important. If it's a template, it's, will not output when it prints. And I've had that in the past where students, they don't pay attention and they put their artwork on template layer, and then they can't figure out why pieces of the image refuse to print.
Is it bad if it's just a layer?
Well, make it a template so you know how. So double click, make it a template. And then make an empty layer to do your artwork.
How'd you make it a template?
You can just double click that layer and click the template button. You can easily make any layer that you want a template, but you really only need this one. Alright, now we're going to actually include the linked file when we save it. So even though we're not done with the art, just so that I get you all while you guys are paying attention, I want to show you how to link this file so that it's really linked. So to do that, go to File and go to Save As. And you've already named it, right? So just say Save. And then when the next box comes up that says Illustrator Options, don't click past it. Don't click past this. Keep this. Because this little box right here has to be checked if you want your file to be linked. Now if you don't check that box, what will happen when you send it to me, I'll get a little message saying that the link file is missing, and it'll ask me if I need to replace it or want to replace it. And I'll, of course, say, no, because I usually won't have your artwork. So that's why if it's pixel related, you have to link it. If it's vector, it isn't a problem. So raster files like JPEGs have to be linked. If I had my way, this would be the default setting. But unfortunately, there's no override of preferences to change that. So you just have to manually do that. Alright, so now we're ready to draw this Clover. So you can zoom in on it. I would zoom in and draw as opposed to stretching it big because it's just going to get pixely. And now using the pen tool, and I would say no fill, just a stroke, to do your drawing. You could use black, or you could always get a separate color if you wanted it to stand out more. And now, drawing around the edge of this clover, we're going to draw about maybe 1 inch to 1/2 inch apart as we draw. And for each thing that you draw, remember you're going to click and you're going to pull. If you're going clockwise, you're generally going to be pulling to the right or down, kind of trace as though your finger or your pen is tracing along the edge. And you'll just tilt it a little bit until it's making the curve that you want. Okay, so always pulling along the outline of what you're doing. Now, if that direction changes and you're really, trying to change it, you could always click in the handlebars so that it doesn't mess you up, but you'll keep going. If at any point the curve isn't working, click in the handlebars to get rid of that one handlebar. If you can't get it to lay evenly along the edge, it probably also means that you moved too far away. So you might want to reduce the distance in your spacing between points. If the curve goes outside in the wrong direction, just remember, just undo and click that handlebar so you get rid of half of it. And then you'll be able to fix that. Especially with these clovers, when you get to this part where it moves out the opposite direction, the only way I'll be able to do that would be to click the handlebar. Because watch what happens if I don't. Oh, wait, I actually undid. Let's see. Well, now it's going to let me because I actually got rid of it by mistake. So never mind. Not a good example. But if I hadn't have deselected there, then it would have flown the opposite direction. If you need to, you can always click into the hand tool and you can move the image. Just slide it if you're missing, or use your navigator or your shortcut keys, Command plus, Command minus, to zoom in and zoom out. And if you, for some reason, manage to get deselected, maybe you run out of time and then you need to add to the line, just select it, and with your pen tool, when you go to continue the line, you want to hover over it and you need a / symbol in order to make it join. If you don't have that, if you have an X when you click, it's going to make a separate line, which will be a problem when you try to fill your clover. It won't let you fill it. You'll have big gaps in it. So I'm just going to go all the way around. I might zoom out a little bit. And until I've got this done. Yeah, I did again. So the pen tool is one that, people have a hard time with, and a lot of people are really resistant to learning it. But it's worth it to take the time to get it, because if you're ever designing things like logos, you're going to want them to be really precise, and knowing how to go in and fix things and work with the pen just to really perfect them is going to be important. Now, it might not be the tool you use all the time. You might end up liking to use the pencil a lot. You might end up using Pathfinder and combining shapes. But, that's okay. Knowing how to use the pen is just going to make you be able to do more. So if the line flies off, it goes the wrong way, undo until you get it to do what you want. At the end of this, we're just going to put a fill in it and fill it. And then we're also going to play around with the smooth tool, which is a really nice tool for when you have little lumps and bumps. in your drawing, which is really easy to end up with, you can actually use that tool to smooth everything out so that it looks good. Now the pencil tool has a feature where it smooths as you go, which is really nice, but the one thing about the pencil tool is it doesn't really join shapes very well. So if you're trying to close a shape, pencil tool often will let you down. So you can, after you make it, you can go ahead and fill it. Alright, for smoothing, you want to make sure your shape is selected, and then the smooth tool is located under where the pencil tool is. So pencil is here. If you hold down, you'll see there's smooth. There's path eraser, which would erase a path if you drew something you didn't like. And then that pencil tool too, which also is going to let you just freehand draw, which is a nice one too. But let's practice the pen so that we get it and know how to do it. So here's how you smooth. You basically grab the smooth tool. It looks like kind of like a pencil with a candy cane stripe on it, and you draw along the edge of the part you want to smooth. Notice how it just redid those pixels for me, or those points. It moved them around and it simplified and gave me a smoother shape. Now if you don't like what it did, you can always undo and try again going a different direction. And then you can also use your white arrow to move points. So if I really, really needed this to be exactly on the line, I would just deselect, I'd hover over it, I'd grab my anchor point, and then I would pull. So with white arrow you can adjust, and you can adjust the handlebars, you can change the angles of curves. Trick to it is you have to deselect, and what you want is for all the points to be white except for the one you're trying to move, and that means it's selected. So I'll go in, I'm going to continue smoothing all of these lines. I don't like that very much. I'm going to undo that piece. But you can just get a nice, more refined look with smoothing. And if this was going to be the basis for a logo, I would definitely work with it to the point where I got it really perfect. So you don't want logos that look sloppy. You want them to have really nice, clean lines. Unless that's kind of the look of it. It's like, some kind of a grunge aesthetic or something. But generally, you're going to want it to be pretty clean looking. One other thing, there's a way to change the look of corners. And notice how this is really blunt right now, like it's snipped off. Actually, that could be smooth there. That looks kind of bad. In the stroke panel, if you show the options, so if you don't see the options, it's going to look little like that, but you go to options and show them. And then you can, with the shape selected, you can choose the round join option for the corner, which is going to curve off the shape, which is going to make it look a little more consistent. I'm going to go through and smooth a little more there. Alright, so once you have it, then just move it off to the side, and I'd like to see that your original file is there, that it came through okay, so that you were linking it properly. So within your square, your document, you just want to have both your drawing and the picture. You can make your drawing bigger if you want to. And then that's all you need for that one, so just save it, last name, first name, EX13.